Also, quickly remind me where did we left off in the previous class? Like we started the transportation and plans, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So in that, what was the last thing that you people note down?
Ma'am, we did till the diagram of the nephrons.
What?
The diagram of a nephron.
Diagram of the nephron. Okay. And this, the whole entire transportation and plans was completed, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we were doing the diagram of the nephron. Okay. So did you people revise the lectures and everything? Do you have any doubts? Like this whole thing about excretion is clear?
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
Okay. Also, okay, what part or which chapter is going on in your school, students?
Ma'am, it's the same chapter.
Life processes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what topic?
We are in the digestive section.
Oh, so you
The
are so,
respiratory.
you can say, so ahead of your school syllabus, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what about Harshit?
Ma'am, the same chapter is going on. The topic is the transportation in human beings.
Okay, transportation in human beings. All right. Okay. Okay, so let us continue. Okay, just give me 1 second, students. All right. Okay. Also, students, did you not attend the test that was there? Nabila and Harshit? Did you people like took the test?
Ma'am, I don't receive it.
You didn't receive it.
Yes, ma'am.
And what about you, Nabila?
Ma'am, I didn't give the time. I couldn't.
Okay, you weren't able to. And Arya, you did attempt the test, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so but I was, just before starting the class only, I was checking your answer sheet, Arya. Can you switch on your video, please? There are
No,
few
ma'am.
things. Huh? No.
Something happened to my camera, that's why.
All right, see, there is a little serious thing that I wanted to discuss with you is that, your like answers are right in the answer sheet, but you have done a very, very big blunder as to that you have mentioned the wrong question number to the wrong, like to the right answer. Are you getting my
Oh,
point? For example,
yes.
if you are answering question number 10, but you have written question number 9 instead of 10. So here I've given you marks because all of your answers were right and very nicely written. But in your school or in any exam at your school or anywhere, if you do like this, you'll get a you'll not get even 1 marks, even though your
Yes,
answers
ma'am.
are right. But you're saying, like, for example, there was a question about incomplete circulation, right? But in that you've written about pulmonary arteries and veins, so obviously the teacher will be like, this is not the answer that the question is asking, isn't it? So you'll get 0
Yeah.
for that. So please pay attention while numbering. This is to all the students. While you're answering the questions, please pay attention to which question number you're putting in the answer sheet, because that's very important. Here I'll give you marks, that's no big problem. But in your school or in any competitive exam, if you do so, you'll get 0. Okay, so pay attention. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
all right. So we had done up till this part, right? The nephron part. Now, do you people have any doubts? Okay, let us quickly revise. We know that the excretion in humans, there is a proper excretory system present, and in the excretory system, there is a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters, a urinary bladder, and a urethra. Now, talking about the location of the kidney, so we know that it is located in the abdomen area. Now, where in the abdomen? So it is located on the either side of the backbone. Now, the urine is produced in the kidneys, and then from the kidneys, they are transported by the ureters, and ultimately they are transported to the urinary bladder. Now, for what? For storage. The urinary bladder stores the urine until it is released through the urethra. But remember that the urinary bladder, it has certain muscles that are present in it. And as soon as the urine starts getting filled up in it, once it reaches its maximum capacity of storage, then the fluid or the urine starts exerting pressure on the urinary bladder, because of which we get the urge to urinate. Okay, so the urinary bladder can store 100%, but it will store only up till it is full. And as soon as the urinary bladder gets full, we get the urge to urinate, to expel that out so that the urinary bladder can be made empty again. Now, how is urine produced? So, when the blood is filtered by the kidneys to remove the nitrogenous waste, such as urea or uric acid, then the urine is produced. Also, tell me, students, which nitrogenous waste is the most toxic nitrogenous waste? The most toxic one.
NH3.
Hmm?
NH3.
Ammonia, right? NH3. Okay. And what about the least toxic?
Uric acid.
Hmm?
Uric acid.
Uric acid. Very good. All right. The filtration units of the kidneys are called as the nephrons. So these are the structural unit or the basic unit of the kidneys. Each kidney has millions of nephrons present. Now, you can say that nephron is the unit of the excretory system, just like how cell is the unit of life. Same way, this is the unit of excretory system. Now, each capillary cluster in the kidney is associated with a cup-shaped end of that tube that collects the urine. Now, in the nephron, this is the structure of a nephron, wherein first we see a cup-shaped structure, which is known as Bowman's capsule. And inside this Bowman capsule, there is a trough of arterioles or capillaries, that is the glomerulus. Now, from here arises, like, the afferent arteriole comes and forms the glomerulus, and the efferent comes out of it. And then it continues with the PCT, that is proximal convoluted tubule. And then comes the DCT, that is distal convoluted tubule. Right? Now there is the loop of Henle, which looks like a U-shaped hairpin-like structure. Okay. Now this part, this going down part of the loop of Henle is known as the descending limb, whereas the coming up part is known as the ascending limb. Any doubts up until now, students? This whole entire thing, we have done the revision aspect of it. So any doubts about it? All right. Now let us talk about the process in urine formation. So the urine formation, it takes place in 3 steps. The first step is filtration, then there is reabsorption, and lastly secretion. Now, filtration, we know that the whole entire process of urine formation will start with filtration itself. Why? Because during the filtration, the blood that is impure or that contains the nitrogenous waste, it has to get filtered firstly. There are 2 reasons. The first reason for it to get filtered is that, first of all, we need to get rid of those waste because they are very harmful for the body. And second of all, that when the blood gets filtered, then only the urine is formed. Secondly, there is reabsorption. Now, some substances in the initial filtrate, meaning after the blood has been filtered, now what part is left in the kidney? That is the filtrate and initial. So there are some substance in it such as glucose, amino acid, salts, and major amount of water. So all of these things are reabsorbed. Why? Because we cannot lose all these essential components from our body. Glucose is very important for energy. Amino acid is extremely important because it forms the proteins and everything. Salts are also important for the ionic and you can say anionic and cationic balance of our body. And obviously, water is important because without water, we can be dehydrated. So the second step of the urine formation is reabsorption. During the reabsorption, all of these substances, they are reabsorbed but selective, depending upon what the body requires. For example, if the body requires amino acids, so our excretory system will not excrete it out. It would rather be absorbed. Okay. Now, the amount of water that is reabsorbed depends on how much of dissolved waste is present. Now, here dissolved waste refers to the nitrogenous waste. Nitrogenous waste. Now, what do they mean by this sentence? See, for example, there is, if we are trying to excrete out the most toxic nitrogenous waste, that is ammonia, right? So to excrete out the most toxic nitrogenous waste, more amount of water is required. And to excrete out the least toxic nitrogenous waste, less amount of water is required. So we should mention that. And that is why like this line is here, that the amount of water that is reabsorbed depends on how much of dissolved waste is present. Most toxic waste requires more water. So there will be like more water absorption. So most toxic waste requires more water and least toxic requires less water. Is this part clear to every single one here?
Yes, ma'am.
Why is no one else answering other than Nabila? What is happening
Yes,
to
ma'am.
the others? Yes, if you're not switching on your video, students, that's fine. But please be attentive in the class and at least unmute yourself and speak. Okay? I'll not be asking it any more time yet again. Okay? So please unmute yourself and answer whenever I ask. Now, the amount of water that is reabsorbed depends on how much of dissolved waste is present. So most toxic waste requires more water and least toxic waste requires less water. Now urine is stored in the urinary bladder until it becomes full. Now as soon as the urinary bladder expands, after being, you can say, completely full with the urine, then it expands, and then this expanding of the urinary bladder sends the information to the brain. The information that the urinary bladder is expanding goes to the brain, and then the brain, you can say, orders or sends the information which creates an urge to pass out the urine through the urethra. So we can say that since the brain is controlling how the urinary bladder would work, so the urinary bladder is under the neural control as the bladder is muscular. It is made up of muscles, and these muscles are involuntary muscles. You people remember what is involuntary muscles?
Yes, mom.
Yeah, can someone explain?
Which we
Ma'am,
can't
it is
control those
like we
muscles,
can't
such
control the
as
ourselves.
Both of you are correct. Those are not under the will, right? You can't control them if you want to. So same goes for the urinary bladder. We can control it up till a while, but not when we have like the urinary bladder is full and we had the urge to excrete it out, then we cannot control it. So the urinary bladder is under the neural control, and by neural control we can say that it is under the control of the brain. So we can, and this is like, since the younger kids that that haven't gotten the training, they like there is like their brain is not so well developed like ours. That is why they do not have a proper neural control on the urinary bladder, because of which they urinate here and there instead of going to the washroom, because they don't know that they're supposed to go to the washroom to do so, right? Because their brains are not developed as much as that of an adult. So slowly with practice their brain gets developed, and then the brain starts sending the neural control, and then they learn. This is clear to everyone, the whole entire thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right, okay. Now you people can note it down. You can switch off your video and write comfortably. Also, one more thing, students, the filtration can also be called as glomerular filtration.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Done.
Everyone's done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
No one still has done.
Okay. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now see, here we are seeing that the third step is secretion. What do you people understand by this, students? By secretion?
externally
Something
promote.
waste.
Hmm?
It's like something is secreted or added.
Where? Is it being added to the urine or is it being added back to the body?
I don't know.
See, mostly in the case of secretion, that is also selective secretion. Here what happens? See, two things happens. The first thing is that the harmful substances from the tubules, you people remember PCT, DCT, the tubules that are there in the nephron. So the harmful substances from the tubules are sent to the urine. Apart from that, selective secretion, you can say in this particular thing, some amount of ions they are like you can say taken from the urine so as to maintain the osmolarity. But in this you can mention one line because I haven't written. So you can write that some harmful substances, some harmful substances are secreted from tubules of nephron, from tubules of nephron to the formed urine. Clear? This is clear to everyone, this part, like what is selective secretion and why is it happening? Like even after all the things, like the blood has been filtered and everything, but even after that, some of the harmful substances will be, you can say, secreted to the formed urine. Now from where? So from the tubules of the nephron. Also, can you people tell me why the filtration is also known as glomerular filtration, students?
As it takes place over there
It takes place
at that that section.
since the filtration of blood takes place in the glomerulus. You people remember the glomerulus? Right? It was present inside the nephron, this part. Right? Inside the Bowman's capsule, the glomerulus is there. That is why. This is the site wherein all the blood gets filtered. Clear? All
Yes,
right. Okay. Now we know that for the formation of urine, the kidneys are so important, they're so crucial, isn't it? Now, what happens now? There are some people that because of some reason in their body or anything, their kidneys they don't work anymore. So they suffer from kidney failure. Now, for those people, how and what is going to happen? And since if the kidney has failed, meaning the kidney is no more filtering out the blood, meaning the toxic substances that are there in the blood, they are remaining there in the blood only. So for that, what happens? There is a process that is known as hemodialysis. Hemodialysis is the artificial kidney. It is also known as artificial kidney. Now, what happens here? Because of injury, infection, or restricted blood flow to the kidney, it reduces the activity of the kidneys, because of which the accumulation of poisonous wastes starts happening in the body. And if any kind of, you can say, waste gets accumulated in our body, then it would lead to the death because we cannot survive that. So for that person, hemodialysis can be a solution, or you can say a temporary solution. Now, hemodialysis is an artificial kidney, right? Now, here, why are we calling it as artificial kidney? Because this machine, this apparatus is responsible for the filtration of the blood or for cleaning the blood. Okay, so that is why. Now, if we start it here, in case of kidney failure, an artificial kidney can be used. Now, an artificial kidney is a device to remove nitrogenous waste products from the blood through the process known as dialysis. Artificial kidneys contain a number of tubes within a semi-permeable lining. Now see, the tubes that are used in this, they are semi-permeable in lining. Now you understand why it is semi-permeable? so that it can allow substances to come in or to go out, right? So that is
Yes,
why it
mom.
is semi-permeable. Okay. Now those tubes, they are suspended in a tank filled with dialyzing fluid. Now if you see this particular box structure and here all the tubes are there and they are present in a fluid filled box, and this fluid is the dialyzing fluid. Now the greatest thing, like how science has peaked over here, is that in this dialyzing fluid, the composition of the dialyzing fluid and the composition of the blood is two, you can say, exact copy of each other. Okay. So even though this is an artificial environment, the concentration of anything that is there inside the dialyzing fluid, it is exact copy of the blood. But the greatest catch here is that this dialyzing fluid, it does not contain the nitrogenous waste. The dialyzing fluid does not contain the nitrogenous waste. Now, when the blood is taken from the human that wants to have the like hemodialysis done, then this blood passes through the these tubes, and since the dialyzing fluid does not have the nitrogenous waste, so the blood, like the nitrogenous waste from the blood, gets passed on into here by the process of diffusion, because we know that if there is a higher concentration of anything in one place and if there is a lower concentration of anything, then that creates a concentration gradient. So because of which the molecules move from dash to dash concentration gradient,
High to low.
from
I
high
don't
to
know.
low. Exactly. So now the nitrogenous waste, it will move from the high concentration area, which is in the blood. It moves to the low concentration area, that is the dialyzing fluid. And that is how the blood gets purified. Okay, so let us read what is written. This fluid has the same osmotic pressure as blood, except that it is devoid of nitrogenous waste. The patient's blood is passed through these tubes. During this passage, the waste products from the blood pass into the dialyzing fluid by the process of diffusion. The purified blood is pumped back into the patient. This is similar to the functioning of the kidney, but it is different since there is no reabsorption. Because we know that during the formation of urine, reabsorption is the second step, right? Where we selectively reabsorb the glucose, the amino acids, so that it does not go to waste. Now, with this, we cannot do it, meaning the blood is getting rid of the nitrogenous waste, meaning the blood is getting purified. But is it getting the nutrients back? 100% not. Now, normally in a healthy adult, the initial filter rate in the kidney is about 180 liters. However, the volume actually excreted out is only a liter or two a day, because the remaining filtrate is reabsorbed in the kidney tubules. Now we know that our kidneys, they are responsible for the reabsorption, and the second step, that is the reabsorption, it is a very important step. Why so? Because all the important substances from the filtered blood is again reabsorbed, like it's taken back into the body, so that we, like, it does not go to waste. And amongst that, another thing is the reabsorption of water. See, our body has a normal mechanism of producing a concentrated urine. So for the production of a concentrated urine, water needs to be absorbed as much as possible. So every day, 180 liters of blood is filtered through the kidney. But how we don't, like, does anyone secrete or excrete out 180 liters of urine every day? No, right? We only
No,
mostly,
mom.
like, in the average of people, they excrete out at least a liter or a two during the daytime or in a day. So it means that maximum, I mean, you can say 99, 98 to 99% of the substance in the urine, the water and everything is reabsorbed so as to produce a concentrated urine. Okay. Now, for this hemodialysis, it is not as easy as it sounds. It is a very painful process. The person undergoing this, like the person suffers a lot of pain. So the ultimate or the permanent solution for failed kidneys or kidney failure is transplantation. The transplant of the kidneys. That is the ultimate solution. So we can mention some of the lines here. All right. So
Ma'am, this is inside the body of whoever is doing this.
the machine.
Like, yeah.
No. It's a big apparatus. It's a big machine that is sitting side by like beside the human, and then it is connected with the help of certain pipelines, or you can say, like they are put into the veins and the arteries of the human, so that blood can be drawn out from there. This apparatus does not fit inside the body of the human. Rather, it is sitting next to it. It's a very big apparatus, not small. Okay.
Okay.
Hmm. We can say that the gets blood gets rid of the nitrogenous waste by hemodialysis. But there is no reabsorption taking place. This is only a temporary solution. The permanent solution. What is the permanent solution?
Transplant. Organ transplant. From a donor, and this donor most preferably it be a close relative, so that the body does not reject it. Okay, this is clear to everyone. Yes,
Okay, now now you can note it down. You can switch off your video and note down comfortably.
this will.
Yeah, this thing you note down. Why? Because like I know that this is given in your book, but even so it is important, because many a times we tend to skip it and questions can come from this. So for better practice, you note it down, because every
Okay, ma'am.
single line that is mentioned here is important.
Okay, ma'am.
Mom, do we have to by heart this whole process?
Yes, dear.
Do we need to by heart this whole process?
By heart, you mean learn?
Yeah,
Yes, 100%. The whole entire
like
thing. It's not
including the
difficult.
diagram.
No, 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 not the diagram. No, not the diagram. The diagram is not necessary. No one will ask you to draw the diagram, but the diagram can come in question. Like a diagram based case study may be there. So they'll like put the photo and then they'll ask you certain questions about hemodialysis and stuff. So you know now that this is the diagram of a person going through hemodialysis so that his blood can get cleared because his kidney has failed, but you don't have to draw this. No question will ever ask you to draw this. But yes, to remember all these lines are extremely important because first of all, you can't forget it. Secondly, this is very important part of this topic. And since it has been given in a separate column in this design and everything, many questions get asked from this. Okay.
Okay, Mom.
If you people want, I can explain this thing to you again if you did not understand, students.
I understood, ma'am.
Understood, Mom.
Okay, okay, very good.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
Yes, from there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So, ma'am, this it is like surely possible to make a model of this, right?
What are you asking, dear?
Like a model.
A model.
Yeah.
A model for this thing, hemodialysis.
Yeah.
For science
No, I'm
exhibition
just
and stuff.
asking. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, of course, 100% a model can be made. Such a great idea you've given. If you have dolls, you can use doll as the patient also. And with the
Mm.
help of clay and stuff, you can draw the pipes that are drawing out the blood, right? And the whole dialyzing apparatus can also be drawn. Yes, 100%. Very good idea. You can draw this. Yeah, it's great.